barn burner, like I said.
Burner.
Today's podcast is going to be a barn burner.
There'll be no barn left by the time we're done.
It's going to be fucking ash with the pigs inside. The screams will be deafening. And if anyone's like upset about the idea of burning pigs in a barn, they were browncoats.
Wow.
They sold out a lot of families in the war. All right? So anyway, Kylie Minogue's pants were really short in that spinning around video.
Who?
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue.
Oh.
Kylie Minogue.
I love her.
Yeah, I for some reason...
Is that why she needed you to get out of her way? Because she was afraid you were going to see up there because it was too short?
Oh, yeah. She was worried that we were going to get, like, front row seats to Fern Gully. So she was like, stand aside, because otherwise you're going to be looking right at the hole of it. Right in Kylie Minogue's deep butthole. Full butthole. Anyway. Where are we? Right. Things are better for me a bit.
You no longer sound like you're dying.
No. I've got some residual sniffs, but because I'm one of the privileged few people in this fucking socioeconomic system who can go to bed when they're sick, I very insistently, when I can, make myself stay in bed whenever I'm ill. Because it genuinely gets you better quicker. And
it does.
The fact people are forced to work through sickness is absolutely fucking stupid, short-sighted, defeats the object long-term, but then again, fucking business doesn't think long-term, does it?
Defeating the purpose is capitalism's MO all over.
I had 2 really bad days, but because I slept through it as much as I, physically could, I was feeling a lot better day 3, and now, like I say, just a bit of sniffles, but the actual symptoms and everything are well gone. So I had plenty of room in my life to replace the sickness with more problems. More ailments for the Polly antagonist. More ailments for the commander. Yeah, last night... My God. So we're still in the process of unpacking, sorting out the house. There was just a lot of shit to sort through, and we ended up bringing it all here from the old place. And so there's still stuff to get through, a lot of moving and shaking around. The front room is in a lot of good order now. For the first time in years, I've put my boglins out because there was no good place for my boglins in the old place. They've not left a box since Conrad packed them when I was in Philadelphia.
Wow.
So, years I haven't seen my beautiful boys. I'm looking at them right now because there was a bookcase in this house that was perfect boglin box size. So, all of the boys are out. Dwark, Vlob, Droll, the gang.
Oh, that's great.
Really happy with that. My God, I've got a great collection. Every now and then, I just have to look at it and just take in the majesty of it.
And your new place has so many good, shelves and units for things.
Oh, yeah. I filled them all with my earthly possessions.
You've got so many good spaces clearly designed for, old person knickknacks that are just perfect for you.
Yeah, and the juxtaposition now between them being very clearly old lady ornament shelves with, Puppet Master figures on them and Gorzak and shit like that. It's its own form of art, really.
But also, there is something to the realization that you are becoming the old lady, and those are going to be the old lady knickknacks going forward. I was watching TV with Linda the other day, and there was an ad for a women's deodorant spray that was using My Neck, My Back as the music. They'd rewritten lyrics to make them slightly more television appropriate. But that's where we are.
There's been a lot of that.
I was made aware that maybe 5 years ago, the music that I was listening to in my teens was already playing on dad rock stations, and that was a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, I've always said, the day I realised that S Club 7 was vintage is the day I came to terms with my own mortality. It's over now. My goose is cooked. S Club 7 is vintage and my goose is cooked. But no, I was actually thinking that the other day, Conrad, as well. Like, my Mighty Maxes. It's old lady bric-a-brac now.
Yeah.
These kids have no interest in most of it. It's not interesting to them.
Yeah, it's all old person stuff.
A lot of this shit. Because it's old ladies' ornaments. It might as well be my nan's little Gibraltar rock ape statue that she had. The kind of stuff that, you know, my grandparents would get on their trips to Greece. Because theirs was a generation that could afford trips to Greece.
This is uninteresting. Why do you not have action figures of Italian brain rot and the villains from shitty indie horror games? Where are your Poppy's Playtime figures? Why do you have all this old person stuff?
Yeah, get out of here, Grandma. Take your fucking boglins with ya. Take Mr. Chimney Pot and sling your hook, you bitch. Crash test dummies, more like old woman's shit.
Oh, yeah, they got you there.
Yeah, well, the younger generation aren't very witty, are they? Because they only have Poppy's Playtime to look up to. Anyway, ailments. That's where this was all going. I am a pain canary. That's what I've decided. That's my new taxonomic designation. And I was telling this to Kid Bandit when there was some stuff in our match that hit me harder than it was supposed to, and she was all like apologetic afterwards, and I'm like, love, I am a magnet for this. If something is gonna hurt, it will find me. Pain is my Liam Neeson. It will track me down. And that was made perfectly evidenced last night when I was shifting some furniture and then felt a big pain in my foot. And then in my confusion, I put that foot down. And if I'd have known that driven halfway through my foot was one of those carpet tacks.
Oh, no.
Those really razor sharp pointed carpet tacks. Not the boards, the actual like big fucking nail of it. If I'd have known it was halfway through my foot, I would not have in my confusion put my foot down and then driven the rest of it in.
Oh.
Yeah. My skin is still crawling.
Mine is presently, just on the description.
Yeah. Because this is, for all the things that have hurt me in my life, not a lot of it's been penetrative. If I'm honest, which story of my life. Not a lot of it has gone in. This went really in. I've trodden on a nail before. I did have a nail once when I was a lot younger go right through my foot. But that was, I think I pulled it out really quick. It was over very quickly. So this is the first time I have acutely felt something being pulled out of my flesh.
Oh.
Are you up on your tetanus?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would check that.
Are you up on your Tetris?
Maybe. I'm well up on my Tetris.
Okay, well then you're probably fine.
Oh yeah, my Tetranemos aren't going to get gangrene. That'll be fine. Yeah, we did have a look at the tack and everything. Luckily, it wasn't rusty or anything. So at least there's that. We've disinfected and that and all of that. I do need to sort out my tetanus shit as well, to be honest. I can't remember the last time it was done.
I mean, I know I'm due, and I keep, like, not bothering to do it every time I'm at my doctor's office, so...
Yeah, I do need to do that. It should be alright for now.
Yeah, should be fine.
But, good God, to feel the length of a thing coming out...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And not the way I normally like it. That was It wasn't just painful, it was sickening.
Yeah.
It was a sickening kind of ouch. And I just lay on the floor. Even when it stopped hurting, the shock of it, I was just lying on the floor shivering. Just with how nasty it was. And it was right where I am. It was by my new little office space in the main room. And I am fucking paranoid looking down. There's no exposed board or no floor, like, carpet that's been pulled up or anything. Fee reckons what happened was when we were moving the old place, somehow a carpet tack from there got caught up in the wheel of my office chair. Because that's what I thought happened at first. I was sure that I trod on one of my chair's wheels and didn't know why it hurt so much. So, because I'm a pain canary, and it's like a low-key, non-lethal Final Destination, that's just my life. It does seem like the nail, the tack, was just jammed in the spoke of a wheel, pointing up, ready to get me. It still fucking hurt. Like, it fucking smarts. Not gonna lie.
How absolutely cruel of the universe to do this to you.
Cruel! And the worst part of the universe's malice is that now I'm going to have to talk about video games.
What video games here?
Video
Podquisition?
games. The lowest,
show what sometimes talks about them.
The lowest form of human expression.
Where do we want to start on video games this week? Who's been playing stuff?
Could we start? It's a smorgasbord.
It is.
How many things have people played? Let's get an idea.
I've got what have I got to talk about? 4 things to talk about. One of which is very brief.
I have 2.
I have 2. So do you want to kick us off then, Steph?
I played UFO 50.
Oh, hell yeah!
That's the very brief one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will say that UFO 50 is an incredibly authentic reproduction of those 50-in-1 pack-in kind of things. They're kind of like plug-and-play things you put into a TV with a SCART lead back in the day, and there'd be like 100 games on it. It is a completely authentic experience in that regard. And when I say that, I mean I have played almost every game for about a minute and decided I hate it. I've not played everything yet, but I have disliked most of it.
Yeah, I can see why you would feel that way.
And it's because it's authentic. Like, that's the thing. It's not that it's badly made. It's... So many of them are the exact kind of games that I have never wanted to play for more than a minute because I feel like I'm wasting my fucking time.
The thing I will say about them is that every single one of those games, almost without exception, there's 1, maybe 2 games where I'm going to be like, no, that is exactly what it is. Combatants. Combatants is exactly what it is. There is nothing else there. But almost every other game in that collection gives you the impression that it is one thing in its initial play, and then you find mechanical depth in it that you were not anticipating. But you do have to be willing to give them patience, and there's some of them that I don't have the patience to approach.
I've picked up enough from when you two have talked about it.
Yeah.
So I knew there was more there, but I just can't. It's even the ones I like. It won't take long before I reach a point where I'm like, oh, suddenly it is game over. I just got steamrolled. And then just the fun ends up being taken from it. And then there's other little things like the golf ball one.
Oh, which one?
Every living golf ball.
Oh, I was going to say, because every game in that collection is a golf game. Truly. No, almost every single one.
Sort of like a golf ball Legend of Zelda thing.
Golfaria.
I was really liking that. Until I ran out of swings. And then I was like, oh, right, well now...
I would say go back to that one, because unlike many of the games in the collection, particularly ones that precede that chronologically, you may make progress in it. It's a multiple run progression. You'll get more strokes.
I got to the first checkpoint, and then kept running out of strokes before I found another one. I just couldn't find another one. And all the time, I'm acutely aware that I'm running out of opportunities to find one of the fucking things.
Well, the number of strokes that you can use dramatically expands, but you may have to do a little bit of exploration to find it.
And that ends up being the problem, is just ending up feeling like I'm doing the same shit over and over again for a game that is not exciting me enough to be worth it. Once I've got a bit more time to go back to it, I will persevere because, well, I bought it, so I want to play it. But a lot of them are, and again, it's not necessarily the fault of the games, because they absolutely nailed that type of experience. And there are interesting ones in there. There's another one that I wish I hadn't reached a point where I just felt like I couldn't make any more progress in it. The one where there's you've got a castle on either side and there's lanes.
A tactics.
And you're sending little soldiers. I loved that.
I
and
just
then
got the
reached
cherry
a point
in that.
where I just could not fucking get any further because it just fucking kicked my ass every time.
Yeah. And I just got the cherry on that like this past week. But I was stuck on the 17th stage of the campaign for months. Truly months. I would come back to it. I'd play a couple of rounds. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so frustrating. And put it down. And I just this past week finally buckled down and says, I'm actually going to, and it still took me a solid 8-9 attempts before I cleared that 17th stage. And then the next ones, there were some that were easier and I was making more progress again. But a lot of these games do have a bit of a wall. And a tactics is one that, like, as dynamic and fun as it is, the bit of randomness that is in it and the speed with which it requires you to play, there's almost a sense of luck that whether or not you're just going to be in position, you're kind of letting it happen on the battlefield. I'm sure there are people who can think quickly enough to be really strategic in that. Me, I just have a couple of like basic rules. If I have archers at my disposal, then my archers can, be in the backfield and creating space in a lane for me to then slip someone in and have them run through and open up another lane with the archer. But that's like, there's only a few key strategies and the rest is like prayer.
Yeah. And it's a shame because that one I really liked. Mm-hmm. And then just stopped having fun because I was like, this is just...
At least that one has 2 modes that you can play. Like, there's the campaign where there are set stages with certain configurations. And then there's the ranked mode where you get access to all the different types. It's just that the enemy gets a faster rate of spawning depending on the level that you're at. That's a little different and is a little more free form. A nice break if you like the gameplay, but you're sort of stuck on the campaign.
I would love to see that developed more as its own thing. Because, you can recognize gameplay elements from a lot of other games.
Sure.
But there's the potential with the way they've done that one to where I think there's easily a really good contemporary game on a standalone to be made from it. I'm trying to remember the other ones I liked. It wasn't many. I don't have much of a...
Quibble Race is one that I think is an interesting one to play.
Which one's that one?
Quibble Race? It's like the racing game.
Is it like the Micro Machines one? Like this top-down thing where you're in little flying sorcery things?
No. That it's you are betting on... It's like horse racing.
Oh, I've not played that one.
It's near the end. It's one of the last 3 or 4.
Right.
And you place bets on these little weird creatures called quibbles, and they run along a track, and they're dumb as shit, and it's kind of out of your hands once they're racing, but you can influence the races in ways by, like, you can have a quibble that's yours that you can train up, and it becomes a more effective racer over time, or you can, poison your opponent's quibbles, and then they'll just die on the race, and that's how you win. It's dark and fun.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah, but it's very, very basic. There's not, a lot to it. It's just menus, and then they're off to the races. Another sort of menu-based game, Party House, where you have a party going on at the house, and you invite people in, and you want to try and get a certain configuration of guests at your party, so it becomes the best party ever.
Yeah.
And that one's really cool. It's just like a deck management game in the guise of a party where you're randomly drawing guests that show up. You have a limited amount of space at your party that can expand over time. You get access to new people in your deck that get drawn and brought in. And it's a puzzle to try and maximize two different types of resources to get what you need invited to a party within a certain time limit. Great game. These two in particular are both, I think, primarily designed by John Perry, who is also a board game designer. And Quibble Race, there's like a board game analog of called Hot Streak that I'm looking to pick up. But those two are ones that I think you might find particularly interesting.
Yeah, I'll check those ones out. I mean, I'll end up going through all of them, but I think I'll jump to that one.
There's still one game I haven't played, Divers. That's like a retro RPG.
Yeah, I was hoping to actually find one of those. Like, something
Grimstone.
RPG-ish. Like
Grimstone. Play Grimstone. It is truly like an 8-bit RPG in the vein of Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I'll track that one down as well.
That was the thing for me, is I had that initial, like, almost bounce off of UFO 50, and it took finding a couple of games that got their hooks in me, and then starting to be like, I'll come back and chip away at those ones I was like, I was enjoying a little at a time that I got stuck on. And it just sort of slowly easing its way in to be a thing I played a little of pretty regularly and started to blossom.
Yeah. It's neat. It unfurls in a fascinating way, and I'm interested to see if you ever go down the rabbit hole far enough to explore the metagame elements.
It's that kind of stuff that really interests me. Like, that's what got me interested when y'all were talking about it. So
right.
I would like to bump into it.
Yeah, I mean, and at some point I can sort of point you in a direction that might help you find it a little naturally. But actually, there's a clue in one of the games that I think you'd be the most interested by. Did you play Night Manor? The first-person horror game?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, you're gonna get a kick out of Night Manor.
Night Manor.
Yeah.
Okay. I think after we're done recording, I will go and check that one out straight away.
Yeah, it's like Shadowgate. You're in a house, first-person horror, and there's a maniac chasing you around. It's good. It's good. Yeah, there's stuff in there you'll find, I think.
Oh yeah, and like I say, there have been some ones that I liked well enough up to a point. And none of this is because the game is bad. None of it.
No.
It's one of those Sekiro things where it's like, not having fun, but not because the game's shit. It's just wasn't made for me. But hopefully there are ones in there that do feel a lot more made for me. I don't even know if I'm halfway through the 50 of them yet. So we will see.
I played a thing I should probably talk about, because I played, it's Gamescom's happening at the moment while we record this, and I'm not out there in person this year, but I did do some freelance coverage of some of the games that are going to be there. And I want to talk about one game I went hands-on with last week, because I did not expect to be as into it as I was, or for the demo to be as promising as it was. I played about 2.5 hours of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Oh.
A game that notoriously has had a bit of a fucking road of development. It started with one developer and then 2 years in got thrown away and started with another developer, which is never a good sign. And I want to say up front, what I played, the opening 2.5 hours, was fairly linear, fairly locked in on a route of, like, the setting up the world and setting up the setting. And, like, it's set in an open world, so it's very clear there's going to be that room to make that adventure your own in a way that is very RPG-like. The first 2.5 hours, and it was just, no restrictions, is just the first 2.5 hours of the game, is much more focused on combat than it is on RPG elements. And I know that there are going to be people who played the previous one who are going to go, that is a concerning sign, and they're not wrong. I did not get to have that moment of the reins have been let off and I can really get a feel for how much I can branch the narrative stuff in this game. But I do want to talk about the stuff that I did experience, because mechanically, and in terms of, like, setting and the plot they're setting up, I really liked what was here. I was, like, surprised how not a train wreck of a game it felt, which I know is, like, a low bar to be clearing. So the gist with this one is, it's set in Seattle, and you are playing kind of as a pair of characters, and I'll get to the other one in a minute, but you're primarily playing as Fire, who is an elder vampire who has spent about the last 100 years asleep in a box somewhere in Seattle before being woken up. And that sort of gives you your excuse for, like, you were an incredibly powerful vampire, but you are 100 years displaced from the last time you had knowledge of stuff. So if you are someone jumping into this new that doesn't know existing stuff around, like, the idea of the Masquerade, for example, your character has an excuse to be like, what is the current deal with the Masquerade? Have things changed in 100 years? It doesn't feel weird for them to be asking those questions as an experienced vampire, but also, like, you can get a new person caught up, which I think is decent. The combat feels very different in this. When you start playing, you initially don't pick a class and specialization, and I'll talk about the one that I picked in a minute, but your default is you can sort of sprint around, glide in midair, you can do stuff like seeing through walls. You got a lot of access to melee attacks, particularly sort of you've got fast versus held heavy attacks that'll break through guard. You can psychically throw stuff with your mind, and then when an enemy is on low enough health, you can drain their blood. It's your primary method of healing, is using blood draining as a finisher, but it is also how you recharge class-specific special abilities. Fairly early on, you end up picking, like, a class to be your specialization, and you sort of unlock abilities as you go through that, and the more powerful the ability, the more enemies you have to, like, essentially do a finisher on to recharge that power. Now, one thing I will note on the classes, and this is, like, not ideal, 2 of the character classes are specific to pre-ordering the game or buying a DLC, which is, like... Right, it's... And I'll say this, at the very least, they're 2 of the more boring-sounding classes.
I was about to ask, which ones are they? Because I know me vampire.
Let me double-check. If I wrote these down in the correct order, I think it was the La Sombra and the Toreador.
Oh.
Which...
Oh no,
those are good ones.
The Sombra are it's been many years since I played the tabletop, but they're the shadowy ones. Yeah. They're part of the non...
The Sabbat.
The Sabbat, yeah. And Toreador, I like Toreador quite a bit. They're all the narcissisty ones.
Yep, they're the artistes.
Okay. I didn't remember what they were like, but the way they were described was like... their description was just... They have initiative in combat, which wasn't a particularly interesting description. So
one of their first skills is I never can say that word. Alacrity, it's
alacrity.
Alacrity is one of their early skills in the tabletop. I really like Vampire as a tabletop game.
Me too.
I really like it. It's so much more all of the White Wolf stuff is a lot more my speed setting than D&D, which I do like, but. There's just so much more storytelling.
It's just a much more streamlined mechanical system that's very, very easy to pick up and go with.
Yet so much more flexible with it. Like, I've always said, like, what I like about a White Wolf game is it's a valid battle tactic to hide under a table and hope it all goes away. That is fucking a Toreador behind a bonusy thing. That is
Sorry, I was trying to remember which ones it was, because here's where the thing gets complicated for me in remembering which ones it was that were DLC. I was given the game and the DLC at once in the demo, and it wasn't labeled which ones were the DLC, which is why it didn't initially flag. I've had to go back and Google, like, okay, which ones are DLC ones, because they announced that last night. I think those are the two that are DLC. The ones that I think are the main game...
I mean, so long as it's not the Melks. If the Malkavians were... I would shit. I would actually
There's no playable Malkavians, apparently, at launch.
Well, there kind of is. We'll get to the Malkavian in a second. The ones that you can be that are default in the game, I believe, are the Bruja. The Bruja, I apologize. Yep. The Tremere. Mm-hmm. The Banu Hakim.
The Tremere.
And the Ventru.
The wizards ones, aren't they?
The Tremere,
yeah. So it's the fast melee ones, the blood magic ones, the magic plus fast attack ones, and
dorky lords.
The mentally controlling the enemy ones.
Yeah.
I think the default ones. And I played the Tremere. I had a lot of fun with the Tremere. Some of their early abilities are really fun. There was one where you cast a blood magic spell on one of the enemies, and the first time they're hit with a melee attack, they will start to swell and then explode, doing massive damage to anything near them. So you've just got to, like, curse them, draw them near other enemies, one punch and dash backwards. And that went really well. But yeah, all of these kind of abilities you basically recharge by doing blood drinking finishes. And that system seems to work pretty well. Much like the tabletop game, if you want to learn abilities from other classes, you basically want to befriend those factions in the real world with the choices you're making, and that will make it easier and cheaper for you to buy other classes' abilities. If you don't mind it being expensive, you can always buy any ability that you want from any of the classes. It's just the amount they like you will change how many skill points it costs you to get an ability. I really like the writing from this demo. I was not expecting it to have as much fun as it did with this slightly out of time character that is trying to catch up with a modern world in the way it was written. There was some really fun queer flirting content early on. It was very fun to be a very ancient vampire using that knowledge to flirt with a flustered lesbian. I appreciate that was there. But to talk about the Malkavians, you have a Malkavian vampire living in your head. His name is Fabian. He was a detective, and I won't spoil how it happens, but he was a detective a while ago, and now he is living in your head. And you play portions of the game as him in flashbacks. So you do play portions of the game as a Malkavian, but you can't have your main character be a Malkavian. Okay. And those Malkavian sections as Fabian lean into the specific ways that someone who wants to fit into human society could make really good use of that power set. Because he was a detective, he was basically he was working for the police in Seattle, however long ago in the past, basically going like, I'll use charm person to get this person to admit to shit they wouldn't otherwise tell me. I'll start mind reading this person so I can get some clues to get to sort of needle past them. I'll erase someone's memory so they don't remember that I owe them money, so they'll let me get out of this situation. And they do give you opportunities to play around with those tools in fun narrative scenarios while shutting you away from your main character being able to be one. But, like, just from a core perspective, it feels really well written. The core movement mechanics of the combat, like, it's definitely more combat heavy than I think people are going to expect. The combat does feel really good. I enjoyed what I played way more than I expected to, given the game's development history, even if it's kinda scummy that those couple of classes are DLC or pre-order specific, and that they weren't very open about that to people who were previewing it. They weren't very forthcoming about that, which is not ideal.
It is weird to have a, like, core Camarilla clan be DLC.
Like, of all There are ones that would have been weirder, but not many.
Not many.
To lock that is
Bruja
so
would have been
fucked.
weirder, Ventru would have been weirder,
Sure.
but that's about it.
But yeah.
Those are the three I think of immediately for Camarilla clans.
I understand from a cynicism point the La Sombra one. I understand because narratively you can... It's not one of the weirder ones to lock, and also those powers are going to be very tempting.
Mm-hmm.
I played... The first ever vampire game I ever played was with... we had 2 power gamers in the group, and they both went La Sombra and were nightmares to fucking play with.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading the pre-order thing. I'm now wondering, is playing as Fabian the Malkavian in those sections, is that also pre-order / DLC specific? I can't tell.
That would be wild.
There's an additional clan getting a standalone DLC with a completely unique Seattle story, but I don't know what that means necessarily. Like, would it be integrated in such a way that it would be put in the narrative line the way you found it, or...
Yeah, I'm unsure. The way that the Fabian stuff was implemented, at least as I played it, was when you go to sleep at the end of a day as Fire, you play through a section as Fabian. After that, it's like slotted in there.
Interesting.
I genuinely cannot tell for certain what stuff of the stuff I experienced was pre-order or DLC and what wasn't.
And that's what you want from a game, innit? You want to be unsure which part of the game's actually going to be in the game.
Well, I think when you're playing the game, you kind of do want that frictionless, seamless experience, but in a pre-order context, maybe not the best.
Well, no, it shouldn't be like Confusopoly bullshit.
Yeah, and it's a shame that I have to, like, give this kind of shitty caveat, because, like, that context aside, it was a really confident demo to put out, and, like, it's rare that I see a developer go, here's the first 2.5 hours of a game, you've got it a week before embargo goes up, play it as many times as you like, explore as many classes as you like, have a fuck around with it, in the way that they did. There was no restrictions on what you could or couldn't talk about from that couple of hours. It was a confident demo that then, you know, the Confusopoly monetization isn't great, but what I played was really fun.
I'm still very interested. I think, yeah, the combat element of it being so forward is unsurprising. You know, I don't think that they were going to have a whole lot of confidence in being able to sell something that wasn't as accessible as combat being a major focus.
But I will say, like, there are some really little specific details I want to point out that are really nice, that do feel like the kind of polish that, like, did stand out. One of them is, you've got, like, a tiny little reticle in the middle of your screen for what you're aiming at. But if you're trying to find, like, hidden things or things you haven't interacted with previously, that reticle will get larger and start to vibrate as you are getting towards pointing it at something you haven't interacted with, which makes it, like, really nice if you're, like, trying not to miss out on optional interactables or find things that you need to interact with in a scene. It's subtly done, it's, like, it just draws your attention in the right way. It's got, like, a lot of little mechanical things like this that do feel really nice. I don't doubt it's going to be a good game. I don't know if it's going to be far enough on the RPG versus combat scale to please the people who've been waiting for it. And I wish that it was an easier recommend in terms of, like, the access to classes and stuff.
What you've described in terms of it as a game, yeah, it's... I've not actually played Bloodlines, the first one. My experience with Vampire has always been the tabletop. But I've seen a lot of discourse about Bloodlines because, you know, it's just one of those classics from the day. And it sounds like what you're describing is a lot of what they are not looking for in a sequel.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I played the first Bloodlines a while ago. Like, my memory's terrible for it, but, like, It was clear from what I played here that this is definitely skewing at least a bit combat heavier.
When the first Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines came out, we were still operating in a period where we had not fully plumbed the depths of third-person action and camera control. And it was perhaps beyond our means to have a combat system that truly felt elegant at that time, which meant that like the sort of inherent discouragement of combat that exists within Vampire the Masquerade as setting broadly, but in the tabletop mechanics also, it was reflected in that way in the first Vampire game for the Bloodlines franchise. And so now times have changed and science can do the thing. And so they're doing it because they almost have to, I feel like, on some level. And that's gonna disappoint some people. I'm not disappointed by that. I will still be interested in checking it out, and you can still make a good, competent game even if it isn't exactly the thing everybody wanted.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I enjoyed what I played enough that I haven't checked yet to see whether they've revoked my access or if I still have access. If I still have access, I enjoyed it enough. I'm kind of tempted to play through that demo again as one of the other classes. I'm like, I do wanna, it is scratching an itch that I kind of want to jump back into. I'll also note, I did test it out on some of the gaming handhelds, like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally X. It scales down to those really nicely. It plays very well on those gaming handhelds, which is just, it's nice for a modern game to play portably on a handheld well. What about you, Conrad? What you been playing this week?
I played one thing a lot, but I'm actually going to hang on to it till next week because Steph's still playing it, and I will have a better discussion, and we've gone long already. But Linda and I checked out another Spring Rabbit short horror game, The Torture House.
Brilliant.
Which sells itself as being you're in a snuff film. Which...
that's pretty direct.
Yeah, pretty direct. It still has the tanky controls, but now you also have control of the camera. It has gotten rid of the fixed camera perspectives, and it seems to be like evolving us into an early PS2 game as opposed to the PlayStation 1 games that they had been recreating in the other games that we'd played. This is the first chapter, I think, in a larger project that is going to expand. So this was even by Spring Rabbit game standards, pretty short. But you are a teenage girl who is like at a hostel or something, and then gets kidnapped and taken into this house that seems engineered to kill people, that has cameras in places, and every once in a while you'll come into a room and you'll suddenly cut to a perspective that's showing you in the room, and oh no, now there's some horrible thing you'll have to do. There's an early jump scare. There's some simple navigational puzzles that actually are not bad. There's one sequence where you have to walk across a punji pit made of boards, and this is one of those, like, getting the grips on the tank controls, and I set up the Microsoft accessibility controller that I have to do WASD for this game, because Linda had been playing the other Spring Rabbit games and they have no controller support. And so I finally got around to just, like, setting this for her, have her check it out. By the way, did you know Microsoft supports genocide? I just wanted to throw that out because I didn't want to say their name.
I've heard that.
Without also pointing out that, during this stretch where you have to walk across this punji pit on a narrow board, you really need to be not turning, because those tank controls will fuck your shit up. And you also have to be steadily walking straight the whole time, because if you try to run at any point on it, it'll collapse and you'll fall. And also there's a dude that appears and starts chasing you as soon as you step on it that you're not aware of. And it took a few goes to get right, but there's a couple of little oh shit moments in this tiny little game with some decent little logic puzzles, and I am still impressed by what I'm seeing in these tiny Spring Rabbit games, and I think people should check them out because they are either cheap or free and less than an hour, and making a nice little horror experience in that time. This person gets it, whoever they are, and I'm so pleased to have discovered them.
Oh.
So yeah, Torture House by Spring Rabbit. Go check out the Spring Rabbit games at itch.
Nice. What about you, Steph? You played anything else this week you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll hold on to Bioshock Infinite if
Yeah.
I'm holding on to Bioshock. I'll talk
Yeah.
about that next week. Have been playing through it, liking it well enough. It's Bioshock Infinite, gameplay-wise. You'd shoot crows out your hands. That's good.
Yep.
Finished Mafia: The Old Country. My thoughts on that have remained consistent. It's good. Just good. I wrote the review, it's on the Jimquisition.com, and I compared it to when a movie franchise you've seen in cinemas gets a direct-to-DVD sequel, but it's one of those direct-to-DVD sequels that's surprisingly not terrible. That's basically The Old Country. None of it's innovative, none of it will surprise. Its story is trope-laden, and yet it's just done really well. I've described it as the anti-Mind's Eye, in that it's full of 7th-gen gameplay and tropes. It's a pseudo-open world, because the story's linear and there's nothing to do in the open map, except, unlike Mind's Eye, The Old Country is a game, and it is enjoyable. So yeah, just rock-solid stuff. The other thing I've been playing is Vampire Survivors. I've been delving back into that. Now that Ponkel has that Ponkel account thing with the cross-saves, that's been really good, because now I can play it on other systems, which is cool. I still haven't gotten close to completing all of the Castlevania content on that.
Yeah.
I was so happy when I found that the Almanaric Sniper is playable, because that's one of my favourite Castlevania enemies. The angel with the 4 arms and the bow and arrow. That made me happy. Played through the Emerald Saga DLC, the free update that came out. I looked at the best year entries for those. Some words I wrote are in them. All of what I wrote for the Coop made it in, though, and I'm not sorry for any of the puns that I put in the Coop. That was part of the Saga update, a map that's just a big chicken farm. You're being attacked by chickens, and the best year entries have a lot of bird play in them, so I'm not apologising for the puns.
Damn it.
I do talk about sages coming up with chicken magic, and not to underestimate the powers of pecromancy. I'm not sorry for any of it. But yeah, just playing through it, because I don't know if I've mentioned, but I am co-authoring a Vampire Survivors book. So I am justifying the amount of time I'm wasting playing Vampire Survivors again as research. It's very important research.
So very important, that research.
Very important. It's Vampire Survivors, y'all know what I think. It's fucking great. And I said that before I was biased, and now that I am biased, I will say it's really fucking great. Yeah, it's still... It is still really compelling. To this day, you're just moving that little fucker around, and it is still absorbing. And that Castlevania DLC, it really is... I think it's got to be one of the best pieces of DLC that's ever been made. Just in terms of value for money, the amount you're getting is... And this ain't me selling it, but the amount that's in that for the price, which, again, has always been part
pretty fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. It's always been part of that game and Ponkel's attitude, and why... Of all the studios I could have worked with as a writer, the fact that I work closest and most regularly with them, it couldn't be a more perfect studio to deal with. I mean, I've spoken before, like, Luca has said that, like, part of the way that company is run, is based on the Jimquisition's kind of attitude and the things I would say in my videos. And I gotta say, not only is that humbling, the fact that it works is so validating. Because Punkle is not only thriving, it's in a position now where it's lifting up other indie devs. Like, and it's doing it by doing all of the things that I yelled about this industry to do, that executives will tell you can't be done. And here we are with a game whose flavour a lot of those executives want to chump. So yeah, fucking great.
The other bit I'll talk about this week before we do some news and wrap up is I've been doing more Bridge Command, which is that pretending to be on a Star Trek ship in London sort of video gamey thing that I talked about a few weeks back. First of all, hello to the very lovely Podquisition listeners I bumped into this weekend.
Oh, nice.
It seems like my recommendation has convinced a few people to go try it and had some lovely chats with people. But yeah, I ended up in a situation where this past weekend I took part in a lengthy campaign of missions at Bridge Command. I was reached out to by a Podquisition listener who was doing a campaign and offered to let me be a part of it, and that was really lovely. So over the course of 3 days, I took part in 5 missions at Bridge Command, 1 on a Friday evening, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, taking part in this 10-plus hour long, very intense and scripted multi-part story. Unlike a lot of the sessions at Bridge Command that are like, you go and you do your little 2-hour or so self-contained little adventure, this was one big story being told across multiple sessions, and it was a really, really fantastic experience. I don't know how long they've been offering these campaigns for, but we were apparently the second group to have ever finished one of these campaigns. 10 of us who had not met before that weekend took some time to work out what our roles on the ship were going to be. I was navigation, I was the first officer, so second in command to the captain, and was in charge of piloting the shuttle when required. And I'm not going to go into specifics on the plot stuff that went down during it, but what I will say is, doing a campaign is priced pretty equivalently to doing 5 individual, sessions of Bridge Command. It's not any cheaper by having booked a group of you in to do multiple of these sessions, but there is some noticeable additional effort put into making it feel like a big spectacle. That comes in a lot of forms. That comes in the form of setting up recurring characters that will be maybe present in multiple of your sessions. So they've got the same actors around every time that you're going in for these missions to keep some consistency there. Types of missions that require additional setup and teardown that wouldn't necessarily be doable for a standard session. I think the most impressive part of how they put their campaigns together is making really good creative use of subtly feeding you information that will be relevant to future missions in ways that aren't clear they're being done at the time. I want to vaguely give one example of this, which was our crew had arrived maybe half an hour early for a mission, and were just hanging out in the bar getting ready. And we ended up having a conversation with some staff about a mission of Bridge Command that another group had earlier that evening while we'd been out having dinner, that it had gone interestingly for them, to say the least. And we had a bit of a laugh about it, and then we as a group ended up chatting about some implications of, ooh, I wonder if such and such could have happened, I wonder if that was relevant. And then it turned out to be very relevant to the mission we were going to be going on later, in a way that was not so immediate that it was very clear in the moment, oh they were saying that, so we would think about these things, but enough that when we looked back on it later, it was oh my god, you were seeding us to have exactly the conversations that would get us in the right frame of mind for something later. Doing a campaign over, a condensed period of time, doing it over 3 days, It was good, but it was intense. If anyone is looking at a Bridge Command campaign and thinking about doing one like as condensed as this in a weekend rather than spreading it out more, some groups I've spoken to are doing like weekly sessions for the campaign. I would say don't try and do it in less than 3 days. I think, in theory, there's enough time you could do it in like a day back to back to back to back. I think it would be a bit much. I particularly think that the way we did it benefited from having like 2 to 4 hours downtime between missions on Saturday and on Sunday. It meant that we had time to like take documents away that had come up in a mission and like sit in the bar poring over them, theory crafting together and trying to decipher puzzles and stuff. It really allowed that experience to feel like it stretched out well beyond the literal time we were in those missions. I think the biggest praise I can give the campaign format for Bridge Command is that on one of the missions, we ended up as a group genuinely very tense. And it was all good. It was all lovely. We had a good debrief afterwards. We talked stuff through. We were all very genuinely supportive of each other. But it says something for the immersion they were able to do with the format that, despite knowing it's all fake, knowing that it's not real, the physical tension was there. A lot of us walked away from that mission going, I need a minute, I need a second to process all that, to come back to the reality of all of this. Because they did such a good job of having a lot of performers and actors involved who were very committed to the kayfabe of it all, the not breaking the character of it, that it was really easy to, just for a moment, forget the fact that this is all a fake little spaceship under a train station in London, and go, I am genuinely worried for the fate of this character who seems terrified in this moment, and we have to make a decision that is going to impact them, and none of us are quite sure which bad option is the least bad, and the tension that came out of that was really impressive.
That sounds genuinely impressive.
Yeah. They managed to, with this 5-mission format, one of the missions genuinely, like, some of us had to go have a sit down alone for a minute just to be like, I need to let my heart rate come down after that. One of the missions did some stuff that, like, none of us had even considered was possible to do with the space. There were things that were right in front of our eyes that we didn't realize could be manipulated for entirely different mechanics. They made use of spaces in really creative ways and brought the story into areas of the building that we weren't ready for to be part of the story. As much as I really enjoyed Bridge Command, I particularly think that, like, they have put a lot of work into crafting something very special with their campaigns. I obviously don't want to go into specifics, but I can tell you that in the days since I came back from that campaign, I have written a 12,000-word document of in-character, crew member logs for the missions we went on, and it's become this whole, like, collaborative thing. Our group of 10 has been, like, adding different players' in-character insights to, like, oh, that thing that, like, happened over there that I didn't catch in real time, someone's, like, filling in the account of what happened over there, and, like, it's become this really big, lovely document, taking a weekend-long story and making something that we can, like, remember long-term out of it, and it was a really special experience. If anyone is listening to this who has tried Bridge Command and is like, I can see that I will probably at some point in the coming months keep going back there, I would say, if you've got a group of 10, or if you can find a group of people in the Discord that's doing a campaign, and you think you are likely to do 5 missions worth of content at some point in the future, putting that money on a campaign, you will get a pretty special experience in return. So yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. We've got one news thing this week that we don't need to go into huge depth on, but I think is worth bringing up if we've got time.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's Roblox discussion time again, everyone.
Oh no.
Don't worry, it's, I think, good news.
Oh.
It's at least a news that, like, people are taking Roblox seriously as a problem. The state of Louisiana is suing Roblox.
Okay.
Reading from a statement from the Louisiana Attorney General, Liz Murill, they are stating that Roblox endangers the safety of children within the state, writing, Roblox is overrun with harmful content and child predators because it prioritizes user growth, revenue, and profits over child safety.
Now that sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That sounds good. Please keep reading. Tell me more. Because I heard child safety, and because I know about Roblox and I care about children's safety. I know that they are exploiting child labor, and that's my concern. Please tell me what the state of Louisiana's concern is.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. It's like, I think it's positive, but we'll get there. They list a bunch of games within Roblox that they consider highly appropriate, and I would agree.
Highly inappropriate.
Sorry, did I say highly? Did I say highly appropriate?
Yes, you did, and I want to make sure that's very clear.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. Thank God. Highly inappropriate include Escape to Epstein Island, Public Bathroom Simulator, and Diddy Party.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I would agree. Not good.
Not necessarily, not appropriate for a child. Yes.
Yes. They go on to list some other examples that are depressing as all hell that I'm not going to dig into right now. They're upset that Roblox, and this is where it maybe isn't the best, they claim that while Roblox requires children to have permission from the parent or guardians to open an account, the company does nothing to confirm or document that parental permission has been given, nor does it require a parent to confirm the age when a child signs up. Roblox has access to biometric age verification software. Yeah, they...
Yeah, that's what this is.
This is the problem. It's good that they are paying attention to child safety in Roblox, but what this is actually about is they want children's faces to be biometrically scanned when they sign up for accounts.
And there it is.
Yeah. This is why I was like, is this a positive story? Like, it's good that we have, like, a state taking the problem seriously, but, like, it's not the answer to it.
This isn't about keeping children safe. This is about online censorship. It is the same playbook that we're seeing run out everywhere else. And as much as I would love Roblox to be taken to task for the things that they are doing that are harmful, this is about preventing adults from having free and easy access to things. Like, I'm sorry, I agree that a child should not, probably be hanging around in a game called Escape from Epstein Island, but I also think that a game called, Escape from Epstein Island has every right to exist. And that's the problem. Because if we're just going to be like, hey, let's get rid of all of those mentions of Epstein Island, that's a problem.
No, I agree. I can agree with that while also going, Roblox probably isn't the home for that.
Maybe not.
Yeah. It's a mess of a situation, but again, at least we're still talking about it. Roblox, do some fucking shit about this.
The other bit is that, it's not just about Roblox. It's that Roblox is the high-profile example that they can use to inflict this kind of thing on everybody else.
Well, yeah, it's... If we keep the conversation focused on Roblox is a very different thing too. Well, while we're talking about Roblox, why don't we? So that's happening, and we'll keep an eye on that. That'll be bubbling for a while, I suspect.
Probably.
God, any sense of privacy and what have you on the internet is fucking done. between what the UK fucking did, which, wow, Labour sure can achieve something when it wants to, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it.
The YouTube stuff that's rolling out now is, I mean, it's already impacting me. I use an application on my phone to watch YouTube videos, and I now cut out from any age-restricted content through that application.
And that, by the way, like, anyone with any career stake in YouTube, like, the relief I have, like, knowing that is not my bread and butter now, work-wise, because, like, I'm getting old videos age-restricted constantly now.
Right.
Constantly. And at the same time, YouTube is doing things like this, making it harder and harder to access the age-restricted videos. And that's on top of all the other ways it can algorithmically suppress you. It's hell. It is hell. It was hard in my heyday on YouTube, when it was a lot more free and open. And it was hard back then. YouTube, you know, did what it could to make your life difficult. But now, fuck. It's no wonder everyone is selling headphones during their videos and have a Patreon and are on other services. But yeah, YouTube especially is just at the forefront of a lot of the bad shit that we're going to see on the internet.
As it ever was, honestly.
As it ever was. You are right. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking relieved to have been able to, like, switch career lanes. Like, it's still useful to me just to show, you know, the videos to patrons.
Mm-hmm.
It's about as convenient a place as those patrons will see the work. But beyond that, like, forget trying to grow anything there. Especially with the kind of work I do, the kind of stuff we talk about. There's no room for that on YouTube. They won't allow it.
No.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of
Yeah.
the work we do,
Yeah.
Laura, you do some of the work we do.
I do some of that work that we do.
And maybe you could work some of that hustle and tell us all about it, please.
Oh, well, you can find the stuff I do at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere that you find stuff on the internet. Things at the moment, you can pick up a bundle of the ebook, audiobook, and art prints from Things I Learned from Mario's Butt over on laurakbuzzstore.com. You can check out Accessibility every Friday on YouTube. I have a second part to my accessibility videos about Bridge Command going up this week. I learnt a bunch of additional stuff talking with their access coordinator that was really interesting. Go check that out. Just Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the stuff I'm up to. What about you, Conrad? Where are you out on the internet?
You can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky. You can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can hear me talk about snacks on Let's Talk About Snacks, another podcast that I do. And speaking of other podcasts, there should be a new episode of Boston's Favorite Son available now.
Oh, yes.
And if you have not had that experience, maybe this isn't the one to start on, but it's a good one, and I hope people enjoy it. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. There's a Fist Shark marketing shirt finally, so you could wear that. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
That is correct. Patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this show, the web series, which is currently on hiatus. I'll have news coming in the near future as to when we're returning from that, and reviews on thejimquisition.com. There's a review currently up for Mafia: The Old Country. I've got most of a Donkey Kong one drafted, but it was being done in the middle of the move, and I hope I get back to it. But we'll have that, and I'm working on one. There's another one I got. Anyway, reviews go up on that site. I'll have news on my next wrestling appearances soon. I'm currently talking to a new promotion, which is interesting and fun. And Pinfall Wrestling will be back in October. and I'll definitely be on that one when we have details on that. Otherwise, you can check out my work in Vampire Survivors in the Bestiary, and my work in Date Everything by Sassy Chap Games, and Quantum Witch by Nicky J Games. Both of those are on Steam. The former one, Date Everything, is also on basically all the other systems. And coming in the near future, we will have news on Vampire Survivors The Grimoire, written by myself and Paul Davis, which will be full of fleshed out Vampire Survivors lore, and I do have to say that some of the stuff in there is by far the finest stuff I've ever written. It's gonna be something special. So yeah, news on that in the future. Otherwise, thank you all so much for listening today, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.